right, so let's see. Okay, can everybody hear me? Let me know if you can hear me. Testing 1 2 3. Testing 1 2 3. My chair broke, so I gotta get my chair right. So just give me a second. Ugh. The back to this chair broke off. I heard somebody say it was an amazing chapter. Is that true? That this was that this was amazing? Ah, I hope everybody can hear me. Let me see. Let me see. It's not showing whether you can hear me or not. Somebody let me know if you can hear me. Okay? Let me know if you can hear me. Why won't this go away? I guess. Huh. Can you hear me? No problem. Okay, cool. Cool. That's great. That is great. So I see Vasquez said it was an amazing chapter. So that's dope. That's dope that this is amazing because we know how we ended off. We ended off with he setting things up to go to Alacria. But I was pretty much guessing in my video about who he's gonna take with him. And like I said before, I think that I know for sure that Kara's going, obviously Arthur's going, and I'm like 99% sure that Chul is going because he wants to fight. So I'm guessing the entourage is just, I bet it's gonna be somebody I'm not expecting that's gonna be going with him too. Probably somebody crazy. Maybe one of the Lances or something like that. I don't know. Maybe not. I don't know. But let me see before I start. So this is like an informative chapter. Okay. Okay, cool. I'm just glad since this is a good chapter, I'm guessing that it's not gonna be any sort of Cecilia, Nico, any of that shit. Because if it's Cecilia and Nico, we already know this chapter is kind of mid at that point because I don't get it. There's a couple things I want to talk about at the end of the video too, or at the end of the stream. So I want to kind of comment on some comments that some of you guys have made. But I guess let's just get to the chapter. Let me try to spread this out. I don't even know how to do that. Okay, that's not working. That's not working. Okay, there you go. That's how I do it. Okay. Okay, cool. So I just gotta make this shorter. I'm gonna start here in a second. Just give me a minute. I'm trying to set this up so I can see everything right. This is like a temporary location that I'm in right now, just in the living room. I'm at home today. I This week for me has been kind of good and bad. I mean, I'm excited about the chapter, but my truck got a problem. I got to get my air compressor replaced, and that's gonna be like a $3,000+ fix. So that's kind of got me really disappointed. But other than that, I'm excited for the chapter. I don't know if you guys also heard too that I think Turtle Me has said that. So since volume 10 is going to be coming out soon, that they got like all the volumes on like the digital, like the Kindle and shit like that. They got all the volumes for like 99 cents. So that's super dope. I'm definitely gonna get all of them digitally. I really don't like to read them digitally, but for 99 cents, I mean, you can't beat that. You really can't. So that's dope. Hope you guys heard about that. But all right. All right, I'm ready. Let's get into the chapter. Let's see how I'm gonna do this. Okay. All right, so entourage. All right. Um, let's see. I'm trying to make it so I can still see you guys' comments and still be able to read. Maybe I should switch it over. All right, just give me another second. I'm about to move this over on this side so that way. Oh shit, that's not what I wanted to do. Not what I wanted to do. Okay, this is what I want to do. Why does it keep doing that? I don't want it big screen. I just want it small screen. So just make it small screen. Okay. All right. So I can see you guys' comments and I can still read. Okay. Okay, cool. Should I cut the keyboard out? Let's see. Yeah, I guess I should do this. Okay. So let's see. All I can say with certainty is that Sesklar failed, but Sarah's escape, Kara said. All I can say in certainty is Sesklar failed, but Sarah's escape, Kara said. Okay, okay. So she's talking about before she left. Because they had like the shield and Cecilia broke through the shield and shit. Okay. This knowledge was provided by Lyra. Oh, so this is Lyra. Okay, so it's not going up for Kara. This is Lyra. This knowledge was provided by Lyra of High Blood dried before the dragons arrived, and may be weeks out of date. But we can use this to get anywhere. But we can use this to get anywhere, right? Elliot. Oh, so they're having this conversation with Ellie around. Okay, but we can use this to get anywhere, right? Oh yeah, also too, I was like 50-50. Maybe Ellie might be going with them too. You know, I was like, I can see her going, but then I can see her not going, you know. So but we'll see though. But we can use it to get anywhere, right? Ellie asked, indicating the heavy chunk of hammered metal that looked vaguely similar to a blacksmith's anvil. Wait, indicating the heavy chunk of hammered metal. Okay. Oh, she must be talking about Arthur and his little portal thing. Almost anywhere, yes, Kara confirmed. Her index finger tapped on her lips as she considered the Tempest warp. Okay, so not even Arthur's, but Kara's Tempest warp, or I guess Sarah's Tempest warp. I guess Sarah's has more than one because I remember back when she had the barrier with what's the two-headed Asaurus name? Orloth? Yeah, Orloth. With Orloth, with him dying, she had a Tempest warp and got out of there before Kara could get to her, or no, before Cecilia could get to her. And then there was also the Tempest warp that Kara had got when she was like kind of battling with Dragoth and shit. So they got multiple of these Tempest warps. Almost anywhere. Yes, Kara confirmed her index finger tapping her on her lips as she considered the Tempest warp, which I had acquired from the Wraiths. Oh wait, Arthur has one. Oh fuck, they got quite a few. They got quite a few. I forgot about that one. But that only helps us if we know where we're going. Why not go straight for the throat? Chul leaned forward on his elbows, his orange eye gleaming with an internal fire. We can use this to go anywhere, you say. So we could attack Agrona directly. Bro, you can't be Chul so stupid. You can't be that direct. I mean, if it was that easy, and I said this before, if it was so easy, why doesn't the almighty powerful Kezis just go to Agrona, kill him, and then boom, everything's good, you know? But it's not that simple. We can use it to go anywhere, you say. So we could attack Agrona directly. Almost anywhere, Kara repeated. Taken Kalem is an impenetrable fortress guarded by Vitra magic and technology. My grandfather sent an entire force of Asuras to assassinate Agrona, and they failed, Sylvie added. We don't know how or why. Until we do, it's too risky to face Agrona directly, especially in the seat of his power. Silence fell across the table. The only sound was of Boo, who was sitting in one corner grooming himself loudly. A day has passed since our arrival in Vildorio. Kara, Chul, Ellie, Sylvie, Regis, and I sat. Or so you got okay. So you got Kara, Chul, Ellie, Sylvie, Regis, and Arthur sat around a table with the Tempest warp resting between us. So where is Virion? Like I would think that they would have Virion here to talk with them about the plan and whatnot, but I don't know. Maybe he's doing something else. Maybe he's not like around or something. I don't know. We know also Byron too, because Byron is Virion's bodyguard. So Byron's got to be around Virion at somewhere around there, anywhere, somewhere. Um, We were deep under the Earthborn Institute in a chamber that was shielded against both sound and mana. So even Vakajor, which is that's what I'm calling his name because I don't know how to pronounce his name. If y'all know how to pronounce his name, let me know. But I mean Vad Drakor, Vadrakor, Vakajor. Vakajor is not even right, but maybe the J is silent. I'm not even sure. But anyway, so the dragon, the leader of the dragons, whatever, Jakor, will have a hard time spying on us if he was motivated to do so. I pointed at Kara, thinking over what she said, but Lyra Drive might know more. I don't trust Bakajor enough to go to him for information, but it makes sense that Lyra's been keeping an eye on Alakria. If Ceres' efforts are in any way being made in the public eye, then we might be able to figure out where to start. Vagager had considered locking her up as well, Kara said, a bitter edge creeping into her tone. I wonder how Kara's actually doing because we know that she was getting healed by Alice. So I'm hoping that she's actually. It's been a day since they arrived, so I guess it's been like a day. I guess. So hopefully she's been healed up and she's doing pretty good. But he was musing about it one day while pressing me for information, trying to use her continued freedom against me. Apparently, he banned her from traveling and threatened to burn the Alacrian encampments and the Alacrians in themselves. Bruh. Apparently, he banned her from traveling and threatened to burn the Alacrian encampments and the Alacrians in them if she didn't comply. I know she gave him some information, but he then used me to verify it. But I can't be sure that he wasn't just attempting to manipulate me further. So where is Lyra? You know, wanted to get Lyra in on there to have, take part in these conversations so they can get more information. More Alacrians. Chul got to get talked about the Alacrians. The Alacrians aren't the enemy. He need to get kind of talked about, about that. So more Alacrians. Chul stood up from the table and turned his back on us. We blend the lines of ally and enemy too much. Careful there, wise one. You're sounding an awful like Vocager. Regis japed. I think that's japed. Chul stared at Regis for a long moment, seeming to roll this thought around, then return to his seat. So am I, or so I am. I'm reading this shit wrong. My reading's not the best right now. Probably like a 6 out of 10. There was a knock at the stone double doors that led into the room, causing Boo to let out a low growl. Activating Realm Heart, I verified the mana signatures of those beyond. Then opened them and allowed Gideon and Ren Kane. And Micah was approaching just behind them, and I held the door open for her as well. Ren immediately slumped into a chair that grew up out of the ground for him, even as he sat in it, while Gideon found a seat at the table. Man, Ren, man, he's just like a earth mana master. Like that shit. He just before you get like in the process of sitting down, the chair just magically gets formed and gets created. Anyway, Micah leaned against the back wall with a frown carved. Where is Byron, yo? Where is Virian? Like somebody gotta let us know. So Micah leaned back against the wall with a frown carved across her face. She had abandoned the uniform of the lance in favor of a simple dwarven armor and a heavy fur cloak that added to her bulk, disguising her childlike frame. A black gemstone from within her left eye socket. A black gemstone. Oh, I said gem. See, look at this. See, I'm fucking up again. Not gemstone. A black gem shone from within her left eye socket. I stepped out of the room, closing the door behind me to ensure that the seal remained intact and waited for the rest to join us. Viray was next to arrive. Okay, so they coming, they slowly coming. This just okay. I'm gonna be patient. Okay, so they're slowly coming. It's just I'm thinking that that's only them that's there, but okay, they're coming. I guess they're just busy doing other stuff, and so it's taking them a minute. It's taking them a minute. You ain't gotta tell me that Virian's gonna come. Like you told me to be patient. I'm being patient, and then you want to spoil and say that Virian's coming. Do I need to be patient or do I just need to get spoiled? Like which one is it? Goodness. Okay. Anyway, Veray was the next to arrive. We exchanged a few polite words, and I led her into the meeting chamber. My mother looked incredibly nervous when she turned the corner into the hall, but relaxed when she saw me. Pulling me into a hug, she kissed me on the cheek and then looked searchingly into my eyes. Arthur, what's this all about? I'm not made for sneaking around. See, Alice, man, I wonder if Alice has some other like potential to be like, you know, more powerful. You know what I'm saying? Because it's just like Alice has Jin blood, Jin ancestry. So like, that's the reason why she's able to heal. So maybe she like, maybe she can get some spell forms written on her body and start to maybe manipulate some ether, something. I don't know. I don't know. But it's got to be more to Alice other than just like her being able to heal. Maybe she can do like some mass heal. Maybe she can get a spell form from the staff, right? Maybe she can get either like she'll probably end up getting a regalia. So maybe she gets a regalia, gets a new spell form, and she's able to do like a mass healing spell or some shit like that. Or maybe she can do some healing from like long distances or something. Or maybe she just gets so adept at healing that she can like just start regenerating limbs, and maybe she can start healing mana cores, because what's Bladeheart? What's Bladeheart? What's the one Bladeheart chick? The redhead fiery Bladeheart chick, her mana core got damaged. Maybe she can like heal her mana core, and then we can just like get her reaction to like being able to manipulate fire and mana again. Like that'd be some crazy ass shit because we haven't heard anything else about her other than her. I think she was like training soldiers for the war or whatever, or some shit like that. But yeah, I'm thinking there's like some more potential for Alice. But anyway, let me continue. So Arthur, what is this all about? I'm not made for sneaking around. I couldn't help but grin. You survived being an adventurer, a frontline medic in the war, and my mother. She rolled her eyes and swatted me playfully. That's true, I suppose. It's a wonder all my hair hasn't gone gray and fallen out, she said, plucking at the length of gray among her auburn locks. Before you go in, before you go in, who's going in? Before you go in, I withdrew something from my dimension rune and held it out to her. I've thought about this a lot, and I want you to have this. She carefully plucked the milky white stone from my palm, turning it over to look at the many facets. What is it? Do you remember that ring Vincent Helsia gave you when I started adventuring? Right! The ring that let her know his mana signature or something like that. So she would know, like, if he's in danger. I think what is it? If it's I think the way it went was like it lights up if his mana drops too low, or it stays lit when he's good, and maybe it goes out when his mana drops too low. I don't know. Maybe he's going to explain it. Before you go in, oh yeah, so she plucked it. She plucked. Do you remember the ring Vincent Helsia gave you when I started adventuring? I asked. It's kind of like that, except well, if you are able to use it, wait. If you are able to use it, you should be able to check on me or Ellie and see exactly what we're doing. The milky white stone. Wait, is he talking about the scene stone or whatever? But she can't use it because she can't use ether, right? Do you remember that ring Vincent gave you? Okay, I asked. It's kind of like that, except well, if you are able to use it, you should be able to check on me or Ellie and see what we're doing. Does this mean that Ellie's actually going with him? I don't know. I don't know. He said check on him and Ellie or Ellie. I thought I didn't want you to have to worry unless, of course, unless you turn it on and find me being ripped apart by angry etheric monsters, I added. My mother's cheek paled at my joke and she pressed the stone back on me. Maybe it's best that, sorry, I said, rubbing the back of my neck. Honestly, it make me feel a lot better if you kept it. I've only been able to use it to see you and Ellie anyway. And is that true? Yeah, he was able to use it to see her, Ellie, and then I guess kind of Aldi a little bit, right? I guess maybe it only works for people that he's really close to. But I said before in the video that maybe he can use that all seen or the Seeker Stone. I mean, Rita says the Creeper Stone. I kind of like the Creeper Stone. Maybe he's able to use the Creeper Stone to like look at, like I said, look at Sarah, see what's going on with her. Maybe he tried. There's no way he's that dumb. He hasn't tried to like try to see Sarah or something like that and found out that it's not going to work. Because I remember he tried to see Kez's or a Grona, one of those two. He tried to look at them and it wouldn't work. It wouldn't show him anything. Ellie were there when he saw. Ellie was there when he saw Aldir. Yeah, I know that. I know that he saw he was trying to find Ellie, and then he found the area, and he was just kind of watching what was going on in the area, and he saw Aldir, and then he was able to make out Ellie because she was disguised as one of the Alacrian boys or whatever. So anyway, maybe we'll find out more. He had to have used it, or at least tried to use it, so that way we can know that okay, it doesn't work for Sarah's either. But so anyway, sorry I said rubbing the back of my neck. Honestly, it made me feel a lot better if you kept it. I've only been able to use it to see you and Ellie anyway. And if Ellie is with me, oh shit. Ellie is going with him? And if Ellie is with me, she sighed and took hold of it with both hands. Okay, what do I do? I'd given this some thought since I used ether to activate it. Although it took me time to recharge after each use, I drew it in its own. Wait, I drew in its own. Wait. Let me carefully read this. I'd given this some thought since I used ether to activate it. Although it took time to recharge after each use, it drew in its own ether. So it was only a matter of triggering it. Just send in a burst of healing magic. When it touches your mind, think about Ellie. Should I? Yeah, try it out, right? I nodded, and Mom closed her eyes and imbued the relic. I watched as her healing magic interacted with the vivum in the atmosphere. Avum, spatium, and vivum. So that's like the life, right? Avum is time, spatium is space, and then vivum is like life. So vivum, so it interacted with the vivum in the atmosphere. So he can tell the. So wait, so this is kind of, I don't know if this is new or maybe I'm just not understanding this. Or my first time realizing this. So he said that it reacted with the vivum in the atmosphere. So does that mean that he can see the differences? He can see vivum in the atmosphere, spatium in the atmosphere, and avum in the atmosphere. I didn't know this. I thought it was just ether is the purple, the purple particles, and then he can see the fire, the earth, the water, and the fire, earth, water, and the air. I didn't know that you can see like the different ether particles, and there's like they separate between the different types of ether. That's new for me. I didn't know that. Maybe they mentioned this before, but I don't remember. So anyway, so she imbued it and watches her healing magic. So why is her healing magic? Is it only specific to her healing magic because it's related to the Jinn? Her healing magic interacted with the vivum in the atmosphere, drawing it to the relic. Then, as the tendrils of ether, then so her healing magic interacted with the vivum in the atmosphere, drawing it to the relic. So the vivum got drawn to the relic. Then, as the tendrils of ether reached out to her in response, she said softly, the connection cut off and her eyes blinked open. I could see her speaking with Chul. Her eyes jumped to the I could see her speaking with Chul. Her eyes jumped to the closed doors. Inside that room, oh, thank you. She pulled me into another hug. Did Renia use ether to see the future? Yes. I think. Yeah. Because it was like it was taking away her life the more she used it. The same thing that happened to her sister, which is why her sister died. So she had to have used ether. Right? But then again, if that's the case, then could her sister use ether? I don't think so. I think it was because I don't think her sister could use ether. Because the only reason that Renia was able to use ether is because she was trained by Mordain, which That's another thing. We didn't get like shit from Mordane. Like, I swear to God, like, I'm kind of disappointed that we didn't get more information from Mordane. We don't know what his motivations are. We don't know like what his goal is. Like, he's just like chilling in what the fuck did he call the area? The hearth or whatever. He's just chilling there, but we didn't get like any of his motivations or like what it is that he wants. And the fact that he trained Renia, like maybe he would have mentioned that or something. I don't know. But yeah, I think that to answer your question, I think Gerlin is how you say the name. Vasquez. Man, I just call you Vasquez. But answer your question, yeah. So I don't think that she used ether because she only knew how to use ether because she was trained by Mordane, and her sister could do the exact same thing. And her sister did not have the ability to use ether. And as far as I know, I don't think she was trained by Mordane either. So I don't think she needed to use ether in order to use that ability, just based off that logic. So yeah, so oh, she said softly, the connection cut off in her eyes, blinking open. I can see her speaking with Chul. Her eyes jumped to the closed doors. Inside that room. Oh, thank you. She pulled me into another hug. It takes a few days to be used again. So you won't be able to see this is kind of bullshit though, because never was it explained that you could use someone with Jinn ancestry or whatever, or healing magic, and have that work on one of the artifacts. So if that's the case, if that's the case, if we're going to go with that logic, she should also be able to use her healing magic to activate the portal that Arthur has, right? You know, like the two halves that he breaks apart to make the portal to go to the relic tombs. She should be able to use that. She should be able to use shit. She might be able to use her magic to go inside the cubic the cube stone or whatever. Like, this is kind of out of nowhere that she can use the artifacts like that. But then again, there has to be a way of using the artifacts because Agrona used the artifacts, and but we don't know if Agrona can use ether or not, or can control it or manipulate it anyway. So you know what? I don't even know. I don't even know. I guess I'm gonna just go with it because it's still a lot of shit that we don't understand. So I'm gonna just leave it at that. Still disappointed about Aldir though. That Aldir shit was just so disappointing. Maybe I'll talk about that at the end of this video. Anyway, so it takes time. Okay, that's probably a good thing, she replied. Because so she doesn't like obsessively keep checking and drain all her mana. That's probably a good thing, she replied, staring down at the stone and turning it over and over in her hands. A small smile played across her face. I'm not sure I'm strong enough to resist the urge of checking to make sure you're okay every 5 seconds. And I have far too much to do for me to lose myself to this artifact. Exactly. So behind her, the final guest entered the hall. She waved at Virian and Byron. Then I let her into the meeting. Then I let her into the meeting chamber. Vasquez, spoiling ass. Virian put his hands on my shoulders, and I looked me up and down. The old elf was unchanged physically, but it was clear that the events of the last couple years had drained him of the exuberance. I know how to say that word. And vitality he had once possessed in abundance. I'm just fucking with you, bro. It's not that serious. It's strange. Sometimes when it's been a while since I've seen you, wait, it's strange. Sometimes when it's been a while since I've seen you, I almost expect to find that 16-year-old boy waiting for me. His smile faltered and he patted my cheek. Then I see this hair, those eyes, this face, and I wonder if it can really be you. Don't get sentimental on me, Gramps, I teased, although my heart wasn't in it. There's a lot to catch you up on. Brat, he muttered, and together we entered the chamber. Don't get sentimental on me, Gramps, I teased, although my heart wasn't in it. So his heart wasn't in his teasing. Oh, shoot. So there's a lot to catch you up on, Brat, he muttered, and together we entered the chamber. So I like this. So I'm ready. I'm ready for the because I said this before. I'm ready for the discussions. I'm ready for the sit down and let's plan, let's strategize. Fuck Vakajor and all these dragons and shit. We need to figure out what the plan is, what we're gonna do. We need Saris in there. We need all the minds, the people together, and we need to figure out what the hell we're gonna do. You know, Aldir could be in there with them if he didn't go out in some bullshit ass way, you know, fucking plot bullshit. But I mean, I'm pretty sure he can think of a lot of strategies and stuff too. But then again, there might be tension because of what he did to Ellenwar and shit. But you know, that was something they could work on. You know, I'm gonna just get over it. Anyway, my gaze tracked across, yeah, my gaze tracked across everyone there, all the people I trusted most, even against the manipulative power and authority of Kez's Indra. Thank you for coming, everyone. This won't take long. I took a moment to introduce everyone for the benefit of those who didn't know each other. So I guess Chul, like Chul, Kara, and stuff like that. I have news and I have a request. So let me just say this really quick, right? So he brought everybody together. Like, y'all gotta agree with me when I say that Arthur needs to take control, be the leader and the authority figure or whatever, and like lead his people to, you know, out of this war, safety or whatever. Like, I mean, this is like a little taste. Him, calling a meeting, gathering everybody up. But like, he needs to be the person in charge. Like, I understand what he's went through. I understand, he doesn't want to be a leader because of everything he went through in his past life and how all the emotional damage from it, and then also just like him dealing with like him being responsible and people dying and him being held responsible for people's deaths. Like he has a hard time with that. But like Virion is the same thing, like it's what necessary. Like you know what? I'll talk about this later. I am about to get into a whole spiel about this again because I've talked about this before. So anyway, I have news and I have a request. I said when that was finished, wait, I have news and I have requests. I said when that was finished, not intending to make too much of a ceremony over it, I withdrew Silverlight. Oh shit. Oh shit. What is he doing? I withdrew Silverlight, Aldir's sword, from my dimension rune and held it up. This weapon belonged to the Pantheon of Sora Aldir. The reaction was immediate. Viray and Micah exchanged a wary look, while Virion stiffened, his jaw clenching. Aldir was the Asura responsible for the destruction of Eleanor. Or Eleanor. No, wait. No, Eleanor. Wait, am I fucking confused? Tessia Aerolith. Eleanor. No, it's not Eleanor. That's Arthur's sister. Eleanor. I didn't know it was spelled that way. I guess I'm just confused. Anyway, Aldir was the Asura responsible for the destruction of Eleanor. That crime has now been punished. Aldir would never harm another human, elf, or dwarf, and I carry his weapon as proof. Locking eyes with Virion, I maneuvered around the table until I was standing right in front of him. Carefully, I held out the silver rapier with both hands. Fingers trembling, he reached for it. His flesh passed through the solid metal as if it were a reflection on water. What? His flesh passed through the solid metal. So wait, so Arthur can hold it, but he can't? His flesh passed through the solid metal as if it were a reflection on water. Ripples ran through the silver, and with each let me figure out how to pronounce this word. All right. Again, we're learning, or at least I'm learning, because maybe you guys know how to pronounce this shit better than me. Wait, why isn't it okay? Rita, no, what the fuck? Is it gonna work? Undulation? The act of moving smoothly up and down. Okay. Undulation. Okay, ripples ran through the silver, and with each undulation, the rapier dissolved further until nothing remained but light. That's crazy. Until nothing remained but light. Before I could react, the light condensed into a single point, like a silver star, and then flashed across the room. It swerved past Ren's face, then zipped at Viray, turning aside just before striking her chest. What the fuck is Arthur doing right now, yo? Bruh. Hold on, who is this? It's 4:37 in Sydney. Oh damn, bro! That's crazy. In Sydney, is that Sydney, Australia? Am I right? I'm not great with geography, but I think that's Sydney, Australia. That's crazy. That's crazy. I appreciate it though. Come back and watch it later. Anyway, so what the hell is Arthur doing? Is he controlling this rapier and like demonstrating to them like how powerful it is? This is crazy. His flesh. Okay, let me reread this. His flesh passed through the solid metal as if it were a reflection on water. Ripples ran through the silver, and with each undulation, the rapier dissolved further until nothing remained but light. Before I could react, wait, before he could react, so maybe he's not aware. Before I could react, the light condensed into a single point, like a silver star, and then flashed across the room. It swerved past Ren's face, then zipped at Veray, turning aside just before striking her chest. Byron jerked away as it skimmed the crown of his head, then it shot at Micah. Finally, so fast, even I didn't have time to intercede. Yeah, I think that's how you say it. Intercede. It struck Ellie in her sternum. What? It was so fast that Arthur couldn't even react? It struck Ellie in her sternum. Is this gonna be like it? Okay. Okay, hold the fuck on, yo. Is this gonna end up being Ellie's weapon? And it's gonna be able to like transform and shape itself into a bow, and she's gonna be able to use it as her new bow. Man, I got thoughts, but like, why would it strike Ellie in the chest, but it doesn't hit Veray, it doesn't hit Micah, it doesn't hit Virion, it doesn't hit Byron, but it strikes Ellie as though like it's making a bond with her or some shit like that. Man, if that shit becomes her weapon and it turns into some bow and she's able to do some crazy ass shit, that will be insane. It will be cool as fuck. But I mean, this is where my mind is going. I'm not sure the story is going to go that way, but that's crazy. Finally, so fast I didn't have time to intercede. Um, it struck Ellie in her sternum. My sister was rocked backwards, her body slamming into Boo, who had rushed to her side the moment the star had begun zipping around, and his bulk cushioned her. Mother let out a choked gasp, and the Lances had weapons and spells at the ready. Byron holding Tacy's red spear out toward my sister as if afraid she might attack. With one hand, Ellie was rubbing at her sternum, appearing more in shock than pain. In her other hand, silver light was flowing into the shape of a long bent staff. Ellie, are you okay? Mother asked, already channeling a healing spell. Yeah, just startled, she said, still checking herself over to be certain her words were true. Oh, put that away, Ren scolded Byron, who in turn shot the Titan a distrusting glance. Unless you plan on sparring with the Lewin child and her new weapon. Bruh, that is great. I didn't expect this. I didn't expect this. I didn't expect this at all. At all. What? That's crazy. I wonder if it chose her. I don't know if it chose her. Maybe it has some sort of consciousness or something like that. But I don't know if it. I'm gonna just say chose her because of her spell form. Maybe it has something to do with spell form and her being able to like replenish people's mana or something like that. So Ren already knows exactly what's going on. Wow. Wow. So I was right. So as soon as it struck her, I'm just like, oh, is it becoming her weapon now? And that's exactly what's happening. Oh, put that away, Ren scolded Byron, who in turn shot the Titan a distrusting glance. Unless you plan on sparring with the Lewin child and her new weapon. I honed in on Ren, who wore an amused and yet still irritated expression. What? Silverlight has chosen the girl for whatever reason, and Asura's weapon is bonded to them, so it does have a bond. Bruh. Bruh. She just keeps getting power-ups, man. Like, what the fuck? She got the power up with the fucking regalia spell form. Then she got her training with Arthur, so she's even more efficient with her shit. And remember, she can make these fucking mana disc and shit, and she can toss that shit, and he can make these crazy ass explosions. And so now, how is the combination going to be with the weapon now? Like, man, this is crazy. And then she got her bond. She got her bond with Boo. She might be able to reach second stage soon. And then she might be able to reach possibly third stage, like Arthur did with Sylvia's will. Man, she can be crazy. Yo, this is wild. And also maybe it shows her because because her mana doesn't have she doesn't have an elemental affinity with anything. It's like just raw mana. Man, they're like making Ellie out to be like one of the powerhouses now. And she's young as fuck. She's like 14. Man, that's crazy. That's crazy. Silverlight has chosen the girl for whatever reason, and Asura's weapon is bonded to them. Sometimes it will allow no other master. Other times, I wonder if he's going to talk about how Silverlight was created. Did he create Silverlight? Sometimes it will allow no other master. Other times, the dying Asura may release it to find a new hand to carry it. A weak bond may be overcome. Wait. This is new. So an Asura's weapon is bonded to them. Sometimes it would allow no other master. So it will just like, I guess, just forever be masterless, right? Other times the dying Asura may release it to find a new hand to carry. Kind of like the Shard Blades in whatchamacallit. Stormlight Archives. But not really though, like a little similar. Anyway, other times the dinosaur may release to find a new hand to carry it. I don't understand this part. A weak bond may be overcome by a strong enough spirit. A weak bond may be overcome by a strong enough spirit. So maybe he's talking about a weak bond, meaning like if it gets bonded to Ellie and it's a weak bond, but it's overcome by a strong enough spirit. Oh, you talking about Byron and Tacy's spear? A weak bond may be overcome by a strong enough spirit, as he said. Oh, so I just needed to keep reading. That's what it was. I just needed to keep reading. So a weak bond may be overcome by a strong enough spirit. Oh, so he means a weak bond, not like the bond he has with the other person, but a weak bond meaning the person is weak. That's what I think he means. A weak person that it gets bonded with, it may be overcome by a strong enough spirit. So even though you might be weak, if your spirit is strong enough, you can still bond with an Asura's weapon. See, I didn't even think about that because remember when Arthur gave that spear, I think he first gave it to Micah, or maybe he gave it to Byron first, and then Byron gave it to Micah. I can't remember, but I know that Byron was the only person who held the spear. I think Micah did, and I think maybe Veray might have. I'm not entirely sure, but I think Byron ended up like keeping it because I don't know. He was, but it didn't say anything about it being bonded to him or anything. But he ended up being the one to keep it. So a weak bond will be overcome by a strong enough spirit. As he said this, he indicated the red spear still clutched in Byron's fist. Micah's focus lingered on the bent staff. So what? We're just handing Asuran weapons to children now? Bruh. Micah, yo, in like 6 months, she gonna be stronger than your ass. like get out of here. Like, there's no way. Man, that's man, they are making her into a powerhouse. That's crazy. Mom scowled at Micah. Wait, so Alice, she's insulted. She scowled at Micah, like, don't call my baby weak. What are you talking about? It doesn't look like much of a weapon to me, Chul chimed in, bending closer to inspect the staff. It's a bow, Ellie answered. Boo sniffed at it, and I realized Ellie was right. What I'd mistaken for a curved staff was the body of an unstrung bow. I literally said the exact same thing. I literally said it. I was like, oh, it's gonna probably turn into a bow and she can do some crazy ass shit. What could she do now though? Because she can manipulate it, right? She can fucking have it swerve and move. She can have it fucking turn into all types of crazy ass shit. She can literally like What if she can like shoot her arrows and then like control the arrows to make them like homing missiles because it's connected to the fucking weapon, and like she can like maneuver that shit, and then like literally people gotta like run away from her arrows, or maybe she can shoot like 100 arrows at once, right? And then all the arrows start like flying and being guided towards their target. And man, this shit could be crazy. This could be so crazy. Um, I don't know what you mean by he was rejected. I don't know what that means. But anyway, it doesn't look like much of a weapon to me. So it's a bow. So what I'm mistaken as a curved staff was the body of an unstrung bow. In this case, Silverlight has always been malleable by nature. She has chosen, so it's a female, weapons got genders too. But no, I'm not thinking about that. I'm more so thinking it's probably more like a spirit or like a consciousness or something like that, like a soul. And the soul is, has a gender. So she kind of like how people say with their cars, they talk about their cars, like, take good care of her, my baby, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so in this case, Silverlight has always been malleable by nature. She has chosen young Eleanor to wield her, and in doing so, taken on the form that will be most useful. You should be proud to have been found worthy by such a weapon. Ren concluded, his gaze bearing heavily down on my sister. Ellie's eyes were wide as full moons and nearly the same color as they reflected the silver gleam. I'm fucking up reading. Gleam from the Asuran artifact. This wasn't exactly what I'd intended, but I couldn't pretend not to be pleased that she would have such a powerful weapon. But there is no string. Bruh, it's gonna make its own string. It's gonna do something crazy. I swear, we need to find out. Are we gonna find out? I said Silverlight recognized you as worthy. As for ready, Ren shrugged carelessly. Boo gave a grunt as if to disagree with Silverlight's judgment before returning to his corner. So she should be able to make it disappear, kind of like Sharp Blades. But she should be able to make it disappear and then call upon it whenever she feels like it. So she just needs more training. I wonder if there's anybody who has a similar weapon. Arthur could probably do the exact. I don't know, but Arthur is different though because he makes his ether blades. See, I think it might be different from the ether blades. Maybe it won't be. I'm trying to think of somebody that can train Ellie to have her. I guess Ren probably could train her, but I'm trying to think if there's somebody that can train Ellie to get better control over her weapon. I don't know, but yeah, we're continuing on. Boo gave a grunt. Okay, I returned my attention to Virion, as I wasn't finished with my news yet. His gaze was distant, pointed in the direction of the shimmering bow, but not focused on it. Are you all right? You've provided justice, Arthur, and I thank you for it. He let out a breathy laugh, but it was almost a sob, and yet it feels so shallow. My brows creased in confusion. I'm sorry, I don't understand. I know that for the people of Dicathon to stand united, this needed to be done, he replied softly. But perhaps I didn't truly wish for Aldir, who I once respected greatly, to perish. Can one death ever truly make up for the millions? Or for millions? That's the same way Arthur felt. So I wish then that I could tell him the truth of what had happened, but I knew it would only undercut anything that might be gained by Aldir's sacrifice. Maybe it's true that justice can never end in death, or it becomes vengeance instead. In that case, perhaps this can be the true justice our people need. I swallowed heavily. I swallowed heavily, nodded, and withdrew another object. Setting the small box on the table, I pushed it toward Virion. He took it delicately, opening the lid as if afraid it might shatter. His heavy brows knit together, the harsh lines of such heavy emotion smoothing into simple curiosity. This soil is from Mount Geolis. Geolis? Geolis. In Ephiodus, I explained. I'm told it's capable of growing plants anywhere. Even some were destroyed by the World Eater technique. With one trembling digit, Virion reached for the dirt, but he did not touch it. When he met my eyes again, there was a clear and desperate need written in them. Truly. No, just question mark. Truly. Um, Sylvie shifted in her seat. It's difficult to describe to anyone who hasn't seen Ephiodus, but according to Asoran history, the soil of Mount Geolis spread life to the entire realm. Because Mount Geolis, remember y'all, Mount Geolis was actually a creature. Y'all remember? It was a big ass creature that like wreaked havoc across Ephiodus. And the reason why I believe let me understand this right. The reason why the dragons, the Indrath clan, came to like power, it like originally became like the rulers or the most powerful or whatever, is because their ancestor destroyed and killed, they slayed Mount Geolis or Geolis, the creature. And then from the battle, whatever, they ended up naming it Mount Geolis or some shit like that, and then they made it like some sort of like what did they say, like some not classic but like special or sacred path to where you're not even allowed to use mana when you're like climbing Mount Geolis. That's either what Aldir or Winsome said. It was when it was talking about the fucking the lost prince, and we found out about Mordain and Kez's best friend growing up from the Phoenix clan and shit. So it was during that chapter when they were talking about that. But yeah, it was some crazy ass creature, and one of the Indrath clan's ancestors slayed it, and that's how they got powerful, and all this other shit. I need to reread that chapter too. That was a really, really good chapter. We found out a lot in that chapter. But anyway, so truly, Sylvie shifted in her seat. It's difficult to describe it. Okay, I already read that. Virian's face turned toward the table, and a tear dropped from his nose to splash against the stone. Byron rested a hand on Virian's back, looking down helplessly. Man, Byron is so fucking. He's so great now. Like he's changed so much. And this is what I said to y'all before. Was that people complained about. Let me remember this. Lucas. People complain about Lucas. Lucas didn't really get any character development. He was just angry and a villain just to be a villain. But I really think that the Lucas was, I don't know if it was intended that way, but I really think that Lucas was set up to not be any sort of like villain to like progress the story, or not to progress, but like to give any sort of like character development or to be like some great villain or anything like that. I think Lucas was set up to give Byron his character development, because if he would have never had attacked all those students and Arthur would have never have had killed him the way that he did, he wouldn't have gone through all the shit that he went through with Arthur, and then how them antagonizing one another and all that shit, and like him finding out about his dad, and how his dad's reaction to Lucas's death and whatnot, how he didn't really give a fuck. He was just like, oh, he's just useless or whatever. Like, I don't care about no burial or anything like that, no funeral. I don't know. I really think he was set up for Byron to get character development. But anyway, let me continue on. So Virian face turned down on the table. Byron left a hand on Virian's back, looking down helplessly. When Virian finally looked up, his eyes were red but empty of tears. He had to clear his throat before speaking. It is this, life rather than death, that might bring hope to the elves, as it has brought hope for so long. A distant and unreachable thing into my heart. Thank you. So yeah, so this life rather than death, it might bring hope for the elves. Good. Well, good. Well then, I paused, searching for what I was trying to say. Ren had made his way around the table and was whispering in Ellie's ear. My sister was concentrating very hard on the staff in her hands, and it didn't seem to be responding. She let out a loud sigh, then hurriedly slapped her hand over her mouth in embarrassment. This is another reason. Oh, there is another reason I asked all of you to be here. I continue. As part of my deal with Kezis, he has sent dragons to Dicathan to protect the people from Agrona. Things are never as simple as that, though, when dealing with Asura. Viray was the first to respond. You're worried about the dragons manipulating public support in favor of Kezes instead of our own leaders, such as you. Exactly. You're a fucking leader, Arthur. Please stop rejecting it. I let my response simmer for a moment, not wanting to misspeak considering the potentially dire circumstances. I've never desired to become ruler of Daikathan. Why do you keep doing this, man? I'm so sick of this shit. Who else is going to lead if it's not going to be you? It can't be Virion. He's not powerful enough. Like think about it. It can't be Virion because he's not powerful enough. Arthur's the one that everybody's connected with. Arthur has connections with Agrona. Arthur has connections with Sylvie. Arthur has connections with all the fucking Asuras. Arthur has connections with fucking Mordain now. Now Arthur got connections with the Jinn. Arthur got connections with Agrona. Like, he fucking is the center point of everything. Like, everything revolves around Arthur. So nothing's going to get done in progress unless he's a part of it. So it's just like, you can't get like even Kezes. You think Kezes gives a fuck about Virion? No, Kezes doesn't care about Virion. Kezes doesn't care about anybody. But Kezes cares about, I would say he cares about Sylvie, and he cares about Arthur. As far as like, what he knows, as far as like his ether, his magic and shit like that. He wants to learn more. Actually, he cared about him before that because remember, they wanted to use Arthur to, all the resources he spent on him. He spent all the time in the ether orb, gave him the elixir pearls, 2 elixir pearls, and trained him with Coldry and shit. Like, he put all these resources into him because he valued him, right? So like, there's nobody else is of value. So like, just fucking take the throne. Take the throne, save your people, end the war, and then you know what you do after that? You then relinquish your title. Go fucking give it to Virion, give it to Byron, give it to Ellie, give it to whoever the fuck you want, and just be like, listen, I did my job. Now you, whoever it need to be, y'all take over and let's go from there. Like, what's wrong with that? What's wrong with that? I'm kind of ranting a little bit because I'm just so sick of him saying this shit because it doesn't make any logical sense. It doesn't make any logical sense. Like, you're the best person for the job. Stop trying to say somebody else needs to be the ruler. I mean, he might be saying it in that sense that, but I'll take on that role right now. I could completely, I just need to probably just keep reading or some shit. But man, it just be frustrating me. It'd be frustrating me. It really does. But I'm okay. I'm okay. Let's continue. I've never desired to become ruler of Daikathan, not as king or regent or anything else. But if the dragons gain enough sway over the citizens, Kezes will use it against us. The people may not see it now, but there will be very little difference between life under I can already finish this shit. Life under Kezes and Agrona is no difference. And I'm right. Life under Kezes' rule, then Agrona's. Everyone was nodding along as I spoke. I hadn't expected any dissent, but I was still glad not to be taken by surprise. Daikathan needs not only hope, but strength. We need to empower humans, dwarves, and elves alike so that their only choice isn't to bow to whatever higher power they see as the lesser evil. This reminds me of the whole presidency when it's like, oh my God, we choose who we choosing, who we want, Democrat, Republican. Oh my God, I don't want to have to choose between 2 lesser evils. So it's the same thing with this. It's just like, I mean, when you don't have power, then you're kind of vulnerable to go with whatever side is strongest or whatever side you think is going to be like the best as far as like your benefit. So I mean, but if you do have power, then you cannot choose any of these bullshit ass people. You can make an individual choice, or you can stand your ground and be like, I ain't choosing none of you. I'm fucking going to protect my land or whatever. So yeah, so their biggest need is power. They need more power because if they get power, then they can't be as easily manipulated because they're not desperate because they need protection and all this other shit. So I'm with them. I'm with it 100%. They need power for sure. So it needs strength. We need to empower humans, dwarves, elves alike so that their only choice isn't to bow to whatever higher power they see as the lesser evil, which is why Ren Kane the Fourth, I've indicated Ren, who was still standing beside Ellie, is going to be working on my behalf to ensure we are capable of doing just that. I'm asking that you help him and Gideon in any way they need. Okay, let's see. Are you gonna take the throne, man? Take leadership, Arthur. I mean, he's kind of already doing that, but like kind of like a de facto leadership type of thing. Help them how? Byron asked. The first words he'd uttered since his arrival. Sparing them too many ex- extraneous, I think that's how you say that, extraneous details. I explained some of what Gideon and Ren would be attempting to accomplish, as well as how I expected Kezis to proceed with this new phase of the war. There were several questions, but after a few minutes, I started pushing these questions to Ren, hoping to establish some kind of rapport between the groups. We'll do what we can, Virion said as the conversation began cooling down. The dragons have hardly acknowledged me. We'll do what we can, Virion said as the conversation began cooling down. The dragons have hardly acknowledged me, but the elves still. Oh, he's talking about himself. So the dragons have hardly acknowledged me, but the elves still see me as their de facto leader for the moment. Those of us who are left. Micah leaned away from the hall and strode up to the table. She rested her elbows on it and leaned forward, her steely gaze jumping from me to Ren. If we're working to ensure these dragons don't make slaves of us all, then you know I'm in. Veray said nothing, but she didn't need to. Man, Veray's already down. She's been down since she went with Arthur to go rescue Kara. I stood and everyone else followed suit. We're leaving immediately. If Vakager or the others come looking for me, there's no need to hide where I've gone. Do your best to maintain good relations with the dragons. Keep their focus on me. Don't bring attention to yourselves if you can avoid it. I opened the doors and Virion strode out first, clutching the box tightly in both hands. He gave me a small nod and a distant smile, an expression that made me look as old as he was. Wait, he gave me a small nod and a distant smile, an expression that made me look as old as he was. Byron followed right behind him. Don't take a year this time, eh? I'm guessing because when he was in Alacrity the first time, right? I don't think he was going for a year. Or maybe he was talking about in Ephiodus when he left. But even him saying that, right? Byron followed behind. Don't take a year this time, eh? He wants him back. He understands. Like, hey, Arthur, like, don't be gone too long. Okay. We need you here. Only a couple of months. Byron frowned at my attempted joke. Farewell, Arthur. Behind him, Micah adjusted her cloak and I think that's how you say that, levered her thumbs into her belt. Just go do what you need to, all right? I'll take care of things here. Yeah, Micah, because you're so dependable. Veray rested her hand. Veray rested her hand on my arm for just a moment, then followed the other lances out. Man, Veray keep doing these like little subtle things, like resting her hand on his arm and shit, giving him a hug when he first came back. What if Veray like secretly is like falling in love with Arthur or some shit? That would be so fucking crazy. That would be like kind of like what is the one chick from Black Clover? And she's got like all the rose petals thing. Is her name Rose or some shit like that? I'm not entirely sure. But kind of like how she was with what the fuck is the one the darkness magic leader of the Black Bulls? I can't even remember his name. I like casually read Black Clover like a little bit. But anyway, kind of remind me of her. Like, oh, she secretly is in love with them, but doesn't want to say anything. But she does like little subtle things, just the subtle stuff. Like, I don't know. I'm catching it though. I'm catching the little things, the little things. So she followed the other lenses out. Don't die, kid, as that would be incredibly inconvenient, Gideon grumbled, marching past with barely a look in my direction. We already know Gideon's way of showing his care for other people. Like he cares about what's her face? What's her face? Emily? Yeah, Emily. He cares about Emily a lot. When you read the 8.5 chapter or whatever, when like I think he wanted to keep her alive because they were like, because he like insisted that she like be with him or some shit like that. I forget, but I know he had did something like that. So like his way of showing that he cares is always this like kind of I don't know. It's like this. It's hard to describe it, but I know what it is. It's like this, like, oh, I'm like a subtle kind of like, yeah, I care, but like, don't make it like that big of a deal, like that type of thing. Anyway, so don't die, kid. So Ren's chair had disconnected from the ground and was floating along in Gideon's wake, with Ren lounging atop it. Instead of addressing me as he left, he focused on my sister. Don't overdo it with that weapon. Just because it has chosen you doesn't mean it won't burn you up if you invest too much of yourself in it. What the hell does that mean? Just because it has chosen you doesn't mean it won't burn you up. Like burn you up, like burn you up. Is he talking about like killer? But he said burn you up. He could have easily just said kill. Burn you up. Maybe like use up all her mana, like burn up her mana or something like that. It won't burn you up if you invest too much of yourself in it. I wonder why those particular words. Anyway, I bit my tongue, avoiding the impulse to pile on the warnings. Besides, those coming with me, uh-oh, besides those coming with me, only my mother lingered. Wait. So everybody else is coming. Hold on. So everybody else is coming. Besides those coming with me, only my mother lingered. So everybody left. Only his mother is left. So Ellie is going with him. Confirmed. Wow. Okay. So who was there? So Byron's not going. Varay's not going. Micah's not going. Chul is going because he's still there. Who the fuck else is still there? Kara's still there. Is that it? Is Sylvie's going and Regis is going? Let me see. Besides those coming with me, only my mother lingered, her arm around Ellie's waist, looking increasingly nervous. Knowing we would need to move quickly, I had already seen to all the necessary preparations for an extended journey, which were safely stored inside my dimension room. Wasting no more time, I activated the Tempest Warp. The artifact gave off. This is so dope, though. Like, Ellie is legit, is going to turn into a powerhouse. Like, I can see Ellie in like 6 months or so. I can see her probably 6 months to a year, maybe some training like area or something like that. She definitely needs experience, so she's going to get more experience from this. I can see Ellie being like as strong as a scythe. Like I can see her literally like taking on a scythe one-on-one and like holding her own. Like, man, that would be so crazy to see. That would be insane. Because right now, the fucking Lances can't even take on a scythe one-on-one. So she'd be like top 3 of like the strongest people in Dicath as far as like, humans and shit. Wasting no more time, I activated the Tempest Warp. The artifact gave off a warm glow as it opened an opaque portal next to the table, hanging like an oil spill in the air. Regis, you go first. Regis leapt into the portal without hesitation. Chul didn't wait for me to send the next person through. Instead, he loudly proclaimed, "Like the spears of war, Smoky Dog and I will clear the path for our comrades." Smoky Dog! He called him Smoky Dog. That's crazy. Like the spears of war, Smoky Dog and I will clear the path for our comrades. Then he too was gone. Kara and Sylvie hurried through behind him. So they're both going. When it was Ellie's turn, Mom gave her a big hug and took a step back. Ellie shot me 2 thumbs up before skipping into the portal. And Boo Tronwood. Why? Like, what the fuck are these words? Why won't you just say Boo like went in after her, or Boo, followed her into like fucking Trondalut? Trondalit? Let me fucking see how you pronounce this name. Did I say I hate the English language? I think I've said that before. Trundle? That's how you say it? With reference to a wheeled vehicle or his occupants. Move or cause to move slowly and heavily. Well, slowly and heavily, that's definitely boo. So I guess that is the right word. Shit. Fucking never even heard that word, but trundled. Trundled in just behind her. I can't say how long we'll be gone, I told my mother, putting one arm around her in a quick side hug. Well, at least I've got the stone thing, she said, smiling in a way that I didn't find entirely convincing. The orb of long range stalking. The orb of long range stalking, I said, suppressing a grin at her expression. Bye, Mom, and be careful. You too, Arthur. She gave me one last firm squeeze, then stepped back, standing tall and maintaining her determined expression as she watched me confidently. It was enough to push me on, even though I hated leaving her behind yet again. Drawing the Tempest Warp into my dimension room, I stepped through the drawing the Tempest Warp into my dimension room, I stepped through the portal. So wait, he stepped through the portal and drew in the Tempest Warp? The transition was seamless. I stepped from within the underground chamber in Voldorio and out into the bright sunshine. Wait. I stepped from within the underground chamber in Voldorio and out into the bright sunshine. A cool breeze was blowing from the north, bringing with it the smell of ash. Beneath our feet was a smooth cob path. We had arrived in the first of a series of encampments that skirted the border between uh, Eleanor Waste? Eleanor? It's spelled like Eleanor, though. But I could have sworn I remember hearing it being read Eleanor. Anyway, and the Beast Glades. The portal faded out behind me as I took in our surroundings. Simple square buildings had been erected in rough rows along the path. They were grayish, brown, and I suspected the bricks that formed them had made out. Wait, the bricks that formed them had been made out of the ash. A large number of Alacrians were watching us wearily. Oh, so he's in the outskirts. Oh, okay. So they should meet Lyra then. I think Lyra might be going with him too. Most wore simple tunics and breeches, and they were almost all covered in ash from whatever work they'd been doing that morning. I was immediately struck by how normal they looked without their black and red armor or their runic tattoos proudly displayed. They could have been farmers or miners from any village in Sapin. We're looking for Lyra Highblood Dry, I announced, scanning the crowd. Many of the Alacrians exchanged looks with their neighbors, and a few whispered among themselves, their words too quiet for me to pick up. A bald man with a thin, patchy beard and a dark smudge across his cheek stuck the shovel he was carrying into the ground. Lady Lyra will be here soon. She does her rounds every day, making sure things are in order and everyone has what they need. There was a bitterness in his voice that didn't seem to target Lyra. Well, they don't particularly trust you, Mr. Lewin. She visits every encampment every day. Or no, each day. Wait, she visits every encampment each day? I asked, surprised. Unlike the person who sent us here to barely survive in this wasteland, the man said, meeting my eye and spitting on the ground. Thorin! A middle-aged woman scolded, glancing at me fearfully. Forgive him, Regent. We appreciate what you've done for us, but not everyone transitions from the life of a soldier to being a hunter or farmer easily. I stepped up to the Alacrian she called Thorin, my expression level but stern. I understand your frustration, but I'm certain you can agree with me that this is better than inside of a prison cell or the bottom of a shallow grave. My gaze swept our surroundings, taking in the signs of life and community in the one I know this word, desolate land. The fact that you've been so successful in carving out a chance at survival here under the guidance of the one Alacrian leader who has shown she cares for your well-being tells me I made the right decision. The man stared at the ground. Yes, well, I suppose when you put it like that. He marched away without another word. his shoulders hunched and shovel held like a spear. I mean, that's what you're supposed to do, man. I mean, at the end of the day, if you can find out, you can find some other use for people instead of having them fucking be slaves or I mean, they're kind of not slaves. They're kind of just working to kind of survive at this point. Um, but yeah, that's cool. Maybe during this whole entire like arc, I guess I would kind of say, Chul will start to develop more of a fondness or maybe just empathy for the Alacrians and doesn't look at them as like, enemies. What's going on here, Regent Lewin? A honey-rich voice said, turning around, I found the once retainer, Lyra Dryde, striding confidently along the pathway in our direction. Her flame red hair, oh yeah, she does have red hair. Her flame red hair spilled down over her shoulders, standing out in stark contrast against the plain, rustic clothes she'd adopted. Ah, and Lady Kara as well. I'll admit, I feared for you in the clutches of that beast, Vakajor. Retainer Lyra, Kara said, giving the other Alacrian a small smile. We are actually here looking for you. The crowd around us broke up, the Alacrians going back to their duties, and Lyra gestured for us to follow her. We walked along between the rows of buildings. Most had planters full of herbs out front, and I saw where 2 wells had been erected. Everything was geared towards purpose. Nothing appeared to be uh, ornamental. I guess like just for like design, everything had a reason for it to be there. And all of it, everything was colorless. Even the ground, where no grass grew, was just a darker shade of gray against the lighter cobbstones path. To our right, the horizon grew dark with greenery from the beast glades. Rows of raised bed farming plots broke up the landscape. Dozens of Alacrians. I wonder how long they've been there exactly. Dozens of Alacrians were hard at work hauling soil and water, mining crops, erecting new beds with a combination of physical and magical labor. Beyond them, several mages stood guarding facing the beast glades. On the other side of the village, on the other side of the village, the northward horizon simply vanished in a heat haze above rolling gray hills. Not exactly a great view, is it? Lyra mused, following my line of sight. Still, we've done quite well here. There is a certain peace to it. A keening cry suddenly interrupted the rustic silence, and it took me a moment to recognize the sound. A baby. A baby? Wait, they did say that some of the Alacrians who were there that like was part of like invading what the fuck was it called, like Zyrus Academy, or Zyrus area, whatever the fuck, like they kind of had relationships and stuff like that and people got together. So I'm guessing there might be some humans, like just regular Dicathans there because they got a family and they kind of went with them to keep their family together and got babies and stuff like that. But you guys give me 1 second. I'm about to just get something to drink really quick. I'll be right back. Oh, okay. So yeah, I think there's some families there because they got babies and stuff. A baby, Sylvie said, arriving at that conclusion a moment before I did. Lyra smiled and brushed the bright hair from her face. Our first. An Alacrian child born on Dicathan soil. What exactly does that make him, Regent? If the child is born on Dicathan soil, then that makes that child a Alacrian American. I mean, what would that be in story terms? Um, that would be like Alacrian Dicathin. I'm trying to think of how that makes any sense. Dicathin, Alacrian. I mean, I would say it makes him Alacrian, but no, Dicathin. It makes him Dicathin. Dicathin with like Alacrian roots, I guess. I'm gonna go with that. I don't know, but Lyra saved me the trouble of struggling for an answer. Our presence draws a steady supply of edible mana beasts out of the beast glades, and we have found several moon oxen that must have been far enough south when, and we've managed to start. If why was it that paused? We found several moon oxen that must have been far enough south when, oh, when the fucking world eater technique happened. So they were far enough south that they didn't get destroyed. And we've managed to start a few crops with seed sent by that Helen Shard woman. Yes, I say we've done as well as could be hoped, considering. Turning south, Lyra led us away from the settlement and toward the edge of the forest that marked where the I'm just calling it Eleanor because I remember the Eleanor Waste ended and the Beast Glades began. Clusters of yellow grass grew up here and there, and then a few sparse living trees among the black remains of many more dead ones. It wasn't until we approached within a few hundred feet of the denser forest that she stopped beneath the outstretched limbs of a dying tree. You've brought an entourage, she said, standing with her hands on her hips. Eleanor, my apologies for not saying so earlier, but I'm glad to see you, of course. And Regis, you too, I suppose. But who are these others? I am Chul. He crossed his arms over his chest and looked down his nose at Lyra. I cannot say I'm pleased to meet an Alacrian, but Arthur considers you an ally, so I must do the same. He's like just so direct. Like I just like the fact that he's just so direct. Like, can't say I'm pleased to meet an Alacrian, but he considers you an ally, so I must do the same. And this is my bond, Lady Sylvie of Clan Indrath. I continued. Indrath. Lyra's eyes widened as she stared at Sylvie. Oh my, I. She glanced between us, perhaps the only time I'd seen her at a loss for words. Well, these are strange times, but it is, of course, a pleasure to meet you, Lady Sylvie. Just Sylvie, she said. I'm almost as much an Indrath at. Wait. I'm about as much an Indrath at the moment as Chul. I just read that a little weird. I'm about as much an Indrath at the moment as Chul. Yeah, it just kind of sounds weird saying that. Chul snorted, turning away. Lyra chuckled, relaxing. So, why are you here? Retainer Lyra, we need to know what's become of Scythe Ceres, Kara said in the silence that followed. Lyra bit her lip, frowning. I'm not surprised you hadn't heard. I'll tell you what I can. Okay, let's find out what exactly going on with our girl, Ceres. Okay, so activating the dimension artifact, she withdrew a large roll of parchment. The ash between us, the ash between us expanded upwards and out, forming a table. And she laid out the parchment to reveal a map of Alacria. It was covered with notes. A few more pieces of parchment appeared from the dimension artifact, and she set these strategically around the map. The legacy, we learned, had torn down the shield around Sesklar and cornered Ceres in a typical fashion for her. However, she was ready for Cecilia, broadcasting the confirmation for the entire continent to see. Right? We know this. We know this. But then, and this was a true stroke of genius, her forces attacked the relic tombs and took over the second level, somehow blocking the ascension portals and preventing anyone else from entering, Lyra explained, her voice rich with awe. No, Kara gasped, her hand covering her mouth. She had speculated such a thing was possible, but I never thought. Lyra held up a scroll that I recognized as an artifact to transmit messages over great distances. Indeed, my sources are a couple of weeks old, but there has been no news from the relic tombs since she first took them several weeks ago. If I know anything about the High Sovereign, Agrona, right, I think it is likely he is simply waiting her out. The second level has no crops or industry. No matter how well prepared she was, she can't host her rebellion within the relic tombs indefinitely. Wait, I'm a little confused though, because the second level is the level where they have all the towns. Remember, the High Bloods own a lot of property in the second level. They got like bars and homes and a lot of other shit that's there. So wouldn't they? Maybe they only have those things from people coming in and out. So because nobody's coming in and out, they don't ever get replenished with things. So there is no, like she said, there's no crops, there's no industry, there's nothing that's being produced there. So it's mostly trade. It's like a flea market almost, but with houses and shit. But yeah, so okay, now it makes sense. It makes sense to me now. Um, no matter how well prepared she was, the she can't host her rebellion with the relic tombs indefinitely. I felt Sylvie's confusion bubble up through our connection as she tried to get a grasp on everything being said. Regis took the lead in filling in the gaps for her while I focused on Lyra. We need to get to Alacria and verify that nothing has changed, I told the others. If she's still holed up in the relic tombs, I may be the only person who can get to her, a fact that no doubt played a role in her plan. It seems as if Scythes planned on occupying the relic tombs until you arrive to support her, Regent. But that has been months, Laura said wearily. She will have undoubtedly planned for potential delays and tangents, but even she has certainly been pushed to the very end of her resources. Let me see. Where's the rest of it? There's got to be more than this, right? I'm not crazy. Wait, there's no way that's the end of it, right? There's no way it just ended like that. We need more. What is this bullshit? Man, this is some bullshit, man. How we gonna just end like that? How we gonna just end like that? That don't even make any sense. Let me reread this part really quick. So we need to get to Alacria and verify that nothing has changed. I told the others, if she's still holed up in the relic tombs, I may be the only person who can get to her. A fact that no doubt played a role in her plan. It seems as if Scythes planned on occupying the relic tombs until you arrive to support her region. But that has been months, Lyra said wearily. She will have undoubtedly planned for potential delays and tangents, but even she has certainly been pushed to the very end of her resources. So basically, it's just like dun dun dun. Like we don't know where she's at. Um, you know what I'm thinking about? Uh, why hasn't Kara given Arthur the core that Nico gave her? Like, does she still have it? Maybe it was taken when she was in prison because I remember Viray gave her some ring or some shit back. So I don't know. maybe we just not gonna get to the. Maybe she just not thinking about it because of everything that had happened. You know, I can give her that. She's just not thinking about it because everything that had happened. Um. Oh yeah, you just said the exact same thing, Vasquez. When do you think Kara is going to give Arthur the minicore? I don't know. I think that logically, if I'm thinking about it right now, logically, I would just say that she's probably just not thinking about it because of everything that happened. I mean, think about it. She was tortured and fucking, imprisoned, starved, and then as soon as she got free, she was talking to Arthur. She got wounds and shit, and then she got healed by Alice, and then they had the meeting talking about how they're going to leave, and then they left, and then now, I mean, honestly, she hasn't spent that much time around Arthur. There's been a lot of shit going on. She's worried about Sarah, so she's thinking about Sarah and what's happened, so she's worried about that. So I would just say she's probably just not thinking about it. As far as like when when she's gonna give it to him, I don't know. I mean, if she's not gonna do it now before they actually get in Alacria, then I don't really see her doing it until they like find some downtime or something like that. I would probably say this. She probably gives it to him before they leave. She probably gives it to him before they leave and go to Alacria. That's what I would say. Because they're in Ellenwar right now, so I would say that. I would say she gives them before they leave. What else? I think it would be power. I don't think so. Vasquez, I don't think it's going to be a power up. I don't think it's going to be a power up just because Arthur already has. I mean, think about it. You think that like if when I think of the core and possibly being a power up, the only thing I can think of is that maybe some interaction that Arthur has with the core will give him back Sylvia's will. But I don't really see that happening though, because once he died, because Arthur died, once he died, because he died, and then Sylvie ended up like regenerating his body using her body, which is why his entire body transformed, and his eyes changed, his hair changed, uh, his entire body more muscular and all the other shit, because he's part dragon now, or part Asuran, same shit. Which also would mean that he's part basilisk too, right? Because Sylvie's half basilisk, half dragon. So he's got to be part human, part basilisk, part dragon. But anyway, so he died. And so I think that when he died and his mana core got destroyed, her will got destroyed too. So I don't see him getting her will back or anything like that. And plus, it would kind of contradict what he already has because he already has the ether core. So the ether core and being able to manipulate ether, like her will really wouldn't do shit, unless somehow, some way, Arthur can have a mana core and have an ether core at the exact same time. So what I'm thinking of, like, he could have like an ether core, and then he can make a layer that could be a mana core. So he could like have like part ether, part mana core with like the layers and shit. So maybe potentially he can do some shit like that. But other than that, I don't see the core as being like a power up. I think when he gets the core, I think it will mostly impact Sylvie. Because Sylvie's never met her mom. And so maybe she can have some interaction with the core that would like get her to be able to communicate with her mom and talk to her or something like that. So I can see something like that possibly happening. Or he has some interaction with it. Maybe he imbues it with ether or something, and maybe he gets a third message or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Um, But him getting a power up, I just don't know what type of power up he would get other than possibly getting her will again. I don't know. Maybe you got some theories on that. But he said Varay gifted to her. So what? That was a gift. That wasn't something that that Kara already had. That ring was a gift. So yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Maybe he will control mana again because we know that his ether core was formed by using his mana core. He like quote unquote tricked the ether to heal his mana core, and the ether because what happened, if y'all remember, right? Because I'm remembering this shit. He ended up tricking the ether to heal his mana core by he had Regis get inside his mana core, and that was going to help draw in the ether inside his core. And then he ended up getting the knife and stabbing his core and twisting it for good measure because he's a fucking psychopath. And that ended up, causing the wound, which we knew that his body ended up drawing ether towards his wounds. So with Regis being there and the wound being there, all the ether that he had saved up from that one creature that he defeated, it all rushed towards his mana core. And then he ended up like trapping the mana or trapping the ether in the mana core, and it fused the mana core together. And it like he was able to trap all that ether there, and then was eventually able to have it form a core using just the ether, and boom, ether core. So with that being in mind, where the fuck was I going with saying all this? Maybe he can do the exact same thing with mana. Maybe he can make a fucking a layer, but have that layer be made of mana. Use ether to keep the mana there, and then have that layer. His what was it? One, two. His third layer, or would be his second layer. Third layer he already has. His fourth layer. Have his fourth layer be like a mana core or some shit. I don't know. If Cecilia can fucking reform Nico's mana core, Arthur can make his own fucking mana core. That's where I'm at. If Cecilia can reform Nico's mana core, Arthur should be able to make his own mana core. Arthur should be able to take the Blade Heart girl and like reform her mana core using ether to influence mana or some shit. You know what I'm saying? So he hasn't tried anything like that, but I don't see why it wouldn't be able to happen. But yeah, I can see possibly that. Maybe control mana again, or maybe he will control fate. I mean, the goal in all this stuff, going to the relic tombs, getting the keystones, trying to get better insight. The entire point of doing all this shit in the first place is to control fate. And we learned from Sylvie that fate is more powerful than time. So fate is more powerful than time. So like there are no limits when it comes to fate. So he's after limitless power. So I mean, with fate, shit, you can bring people back to life. You probably do all types of crazy ass shit with fate, right? So that's the whole point, is to get insight. He has that keystone. He still needs to get more information about the keystone, and then get insight into fate before Agrona can. Because we can all agree that Agrona has some sort of insight into fate, which is why he's able to reincarnate people in the first place. Because think about it, we still don't understand how the fuck Agrona brought back Nico, brought back Arthur, and then brought back Cecilia. Like, we still don't even understand how he was able to even do that. So it has to be some sort of fate insight that he got, and I'm guessing it has to be from that the fucking the relic tombs, the part that he went to, and somebody was already there and the information was already taken, so it had to have been from that. Because Wiles, like, why would he be able to do that shit? Like, I don't know. I'm just guessing, like, what logically makes sense to me. So he has to be getting into some sort of fate. Now, it was something else I wanted to touch on too. Um, so yeah, so she has to give him the core. I would guess she's gonna give him the core soon, like before they leave. I'm thinking like maybe the core could like, I think Sylvie can get the most benefit from the core. Maybe she has a conversation with her mom or something like that because she's never spoken to her or something. Maybe she gets a message and maybe him and Sylvie can listen to the message at the same time or something like that. Um, because we know that he was able to get the core, Nico was able to get the core because they were dissecting and experimenting on Sylvia's body, her dead body, which is fucking just crazy. But we know that Agrona, there's no limits when it comes to him with experiments and shit. Like he'd desecrate his wife's body, desecrate his kid's body, desecrate whatever he do, whatever it takes just to get more information and more insight, so that way he can get more powerful to take over Epiotis, which is his main goal. He wants to take over Epiotis by whatever means necessary. And obviously, he hasn't taken the fight to Epiotis because he doesn't feel. Because think about it, y'all, right? So let's just think about this for a second. What's the reason that Agrona attacked Dicathlon in the first place? What was the reason that he planted Cynthia Goodsky? What's the reason for him doing any of this shit and attacking them in the first place? He said that he wanted to attack and take over Dicathlon because he wanted more people to experiment on. He needed more. He needed to create like more wraiths and more fucking experiments and get more powerful. So that way he thought that he would have enough power to be able to attack Epiotis. That's the whole point. He wants to use the humans and the elves and the dwarves and all the people as things that he can use to get more powerful, become under, pretty much make a second Alacria and have even more powerful people or whatever the fuck, and take the fight to Epiotis. That was the whole point of him attacking in the first place. So, but then, honestly, Cecilia kind of changed everything because once Cecilia came back, remember, he was like interested in Arthur, wanted to have that deal, like, hey, you're interesting, would you take this deal, blah, blah, blah. But once Cecilia came back, he kind of pushed all that shit to the side. He didn't care about any of that stuff, and his focus was on Cecilia because he felt like he didn't even need Dicathlon anymore if he had Cecilia. Cecilia would be enough to be able to give him what he needs to be able to take over Epiotis and defeat Kezis. So, I mean, that's what I see as the main point, is that he just needs to take over Epiotis, and Cecilia is the key to that. Because otherwise, think about it. Agrona gave Arthur, or came to Arthur with that deal saying that, hey, I'll keep your family safe, blah, blah, blah. You just need to get away from this war and not play a part of it. Because he didn't want him to be a part of something. He didn't want Arthur to be part of Kez's plan and, him making him stronger and using him to eventually be the key to like defeating the Agrona or some shit like that. But he saw that Arthur really wasn't as powerful or as strong as he thought he was. And so that's why when Arthur, you remember when he took over Sylvie's body, he finally talked to him again, and he was like, Arthur was like, I'll take your deal, if you keep my family safe. And he was like, the deal is not even on the table anymore. Like, you failed. Like, I've taken over the floating island, or the what was it called? He's taken over. He's failed. They lost the war, and it's a wrap. And so he was like, I don't even need you anymore. So, bye. I don't need you. But so now, though, think about it now. Now, with everything that Arthur has done, with him understanding Ether, not even just that, with him getting away from Agrona. Because remember, Agrona was pissed. Agrona was pissed when Arthur got away from him. Because remember, he said that he felt Agrona use all his power to try to grab him, and he couldn't get him. So he was pissed. And then after we saw from Sarah's point of view that, Agrona was pissed, telling him to, go and get after him, search the area, blah, 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 blah. He was enraged. So he wasn't expecting Arthur to be able to get away. That's number one. He broke away from Cecilia's little fucking mana-less cube that he had him in. That's number 2. And then number 3, he defeated Cadell. Like, did he expect him to defeat Cadell? He fucking defeated Cadell. That'd be number 3, number 4. And then let's keep going. And then he sent the Wraiths to Arthur. He sent the Wraiths to him, and he defeated the Wraiths. There's no way he expected for him to defeat the Wraiths. So it's like he's proven time and time and time again that he's more powerful than what Agrona thinks, right? So you would think to this point, why hasn't Agrona reached out to maybe have some sort of deal the same way that he has a deal with Kezis to have some shit to where maybe he wants to team up with Arthur to take down Kezis? And like because I can see Agrona be like, listen, I'll leave Dicathlon alone, and if you team up with me and we take down Kezis, you can have Dicathlon. We'll leave Alacria alone, so we can have Ceres or whoever the fuck have Alacria, and then I'm gonna take over Ephiodus. And with your help and the legacy, we can do this. Why hasn't he done that? Why hasn't he done that? Because he's proven time and time again that he's stronger than what he thinks. So if he was willing to offer him a deal because he thought that maybe he would end up being, something in the future, back when he was with Dicathlon and he was a regular human and shit with a mana core, then with everything that's happening to him now, and him killing the Wraiths and shit, and him getting away from Agrona, why would he offer that same deal or another different type of deal with Arthur now to team up to take out Kezis? So I could see a potential deal happening in the future, potentially, maybe, but I think that this more so just shows his faith in the legacy, and like he's just depending on her. I mean, we know that she's got her no core stage or whatever the fuck she's at right now, right? She has no core. It's like integrated through her entire body. She's got Phoenix mana. She's got Basilisk mana. I'm guessing she got to probably absorb some more fucking crazy ass mana shit. And we don't even know what her limits are now, which is even more frustrating. The fact that stupid ass Tessia just like, even though I can kill you, I'm not going to kill you because I have a promise to keep, even though I have no control over this body and I have no way of knowing if I'm going to ever get control over the body ever again. But I'm going to keep you alive because potentially maybe one day in the future, after you killed everybody in my family and everybody I love, maybe one day I'll be able to take over my body again and then come back to Arthur, who's already dead because you killed him. Don't make any goddamn sense. You have a promise to keep, but by keeping this girl alive, you're potentially keeping alive someone who's able to kill everybody that you care about, even Arthur potentially. But hey, I got a promise to keep. Not making any goddamn sense. What else did I want to say? I don't know. What do you guys think, man? Like, what do you think? Because I don't know, man. It can go so many different ways. I can see Agrona having a deal with Arthur. I could see Sylvie having some message or conversation with Sylvia's core to where she talks to her mom or some shit like that. I could see Cyrus being dead. Maybe he sacrificed himself to get Ceres away and he died or some shit like that. I really want to get like a background story or a backstory on Cyrus and Ceres and shit. Like that'd be really fascinating. But what else? What else can I see? I could potentially see Arthur making some sort of mana core layer. I could potentially see that happening. I don't know. Maybe in the future chapter we can see Arthur versus Agrona. I mean, I think that Arthur versus Agrona, that's like down the line. I don't think that's happening anytime soon. If anything, we'll get Arthur versus Cecilia before we get Arthur versus Agrona. At least that's what I think. But anyway, before I get out of here, there was some comments that I wanted to kind of address really quick too. Um, some more thoughts about just the story in general. Okay, so here's what I want to comment on. All right, so we got strategists. So strategists, what gamer strategists is actually what you want to call it. So he has said that he thinks that Sylvie is going to stay with them, and Agrona is going to try to hijack her body to fuck some shit up. Now, I thought about that, and if that happened, I would hate that actually. And the reason why I would hate that is because a really big part of the story that had happened was when Agrona hijacked Sylvie's body. That was insane. That was like I did not see that shit coming at all. So when he first hijacked her body, that is a huge vulnerability for Agrona to potentially be able to hijack her body, control her, and be able to do. I think he said that he couldn't like harm her body or any some type of way. I have to reread that chapter, but which I'm probably not. But I remember him saying something like he couldn't harm her body in any type of way, but he took control of her body. Arthur could tell that it wasn't her, and he was able to offer that deal with Arthur. But then not only that, he hijacked her body the second time because he used her to make the deal with Aldwin, which is fucking Tessia's dad and her mom. He made the deal with Aldwin. And so that was the second time he hijacked her body. And then he hijacked her body a third time when Arthur begged to have the deal or whatever. And he was like, nah, I ain't giving you the deal no more. Good luck, Arthur. And so that was 3 different times that he hijacked her body. Now, I remember when that happened, Arthur, dumbass, because he was a fucking idiot, he finally told Sylvie that, hey, he's been able to hijack your body and shit. And she was like so shocked, I remember. And she ended up like slapping Arthur in the face or some shit like that. I could be wrong, but I remember her like slapping him or some shit. And then like she ended up hugging him or some shit or whatever. And I remember it being said that like, I guess now that she was aware, she could potentially make like or take like defensive measures to not let him take over her body anymore. It was something like that. Like, so now she's aware of it, like she can do something to prevent him from taking over her body. So what I'm pretty much getting at is that there's no reason for him to be able to take over her body again, because for one, she matured more since then because she's gotten more used to her body or whatever. She's also matured since being gone all that time because they said that her appearance taken on a more older appearance. So there's no way that he should even be able to take over her body again anyway. And if it's still possible, like that is a huge ass handicap or a huge vulnerability that they just didn't discuss. Like Arthur should be like, I'm fucking terrified. Like, hey, he was able to take over your body that one time. Like, will he be able to take over your body again or whatever? Like he should be terrified because of what happened the first time. Because if he takes over her body again in Voldorio, like he can do so much fucking shit, find out information and all types of stuff. But I don't see that happening. And I think that happened, that would be stupid because it's like a vulnerability that was never addressed about how, hey, he can't do this anymore. This is a huge vulnerability. I'm now able to prevent it from happening because I'm aware of it and I got defensive measures. That's why I thought that, when he had asked her that one time after he he was with Ren and the rest of them and she like kind of like closed her eyes and shit like that. I was thinking to myself, like, maybe Agrona was trying to do something, but she closed her eyes and she focused and she stopped them from being able to do something. Like, that's what I was thinking because she should be able to prevent it from happening now. So I don't see him being able to take over her body again. Like, that would just be extremely stupid. But maybe in the future chapter we'll see. Oh, wait, I could have sworn. I don't know. But anyway, so I wanted to touch on that. And another thing I wanted to touch on too was that Arthur's destruction god room, right? So let me know what you think about his Destruction God Room. So from my understanding of the Destruction God Room is that he didn't get the full room, kind of sort of like Aurora's Requiem, where he didn't get the full insight into Aurora's Requiem to where he can't like, break the story and like bring people back to life and heal tragic ass crazy wounds and all this other crazy ass shit that Aurora's Requiem had the potential to be. So I think at least as far as I understand. So what we understand about the Destruction God Room is that Arthur only got half of it, right? He only got half of it of some sort, to where he's got insight, but then Regis also took half of it. Because I think what happened was so when he first used it, I remember when he first used it, he couldn't really control it because it like took over his entire body or whatever the fuck. And so he passed out. And so the God Room was gonna like destroy his body or some shit like that. And so Regis ended up coming in and like taking part of the God Room away from him to save his life. And so that's why when Arthur woke up, he was like, "Wait, what happened?" He can faintly sense the God Room, but it's not as clear. And then he realized that Regis had the God Room. He was like pissed off at Regis, and Regis was like, I would give it back if I could. Like I tried to give it back to you, but like I can't give it back to you. But if I wouldn't have done that, you would have died because you couldn't control the God Room, and it was gonna kill you. So he only has like part of the God Room, and then Regis has the other part of the God Room. And so I don't think that Arthur is going to eventually be able to control it or any type of way. I think it's going to continue to stay separate, where it's going to be Regis has part of it, Arthur has part of it, and if ever he tries to, use it again, because in order for Arthur to use it, Regis has to be inside of him. So for him to get the full insight again, so if he ever going to use it again, he's still going to have those drawbacks of having it take over his mind and him not being caring anymore or being emotionless and wanting to like destroy everything. So I don't see the Destruction God Room ever like being something else other than just like this last ditch effort. When everything fails, I can use destruction and maybe I can destroy something that I'm not able to, some fight I can't win, I can destroy it with using that. But then we also can see that there's clever ways of using it, because he can use Regis. Regis can go inside his sword, and he can use destruction that way to where it's only on the sword. So he literally has this, and destruction is so fucking insane because not only does it destroy living things, and it destroys even mana. So he can use it to like destroy mana and shield. Like I wonder, like with the shield that Seras had. I wonder if Arthur, if he used his sword and had destruction on it, could he just cut a hole into the shield and have that fucking destruction just destroy the mana shield, or just destroy part of it, right? So we can cut a hole like that. Like destruction is crazy ass powerful because it can destroy mana as well. So yeah, so they got some clever ways of being able to use it. I can see him like having other clever ways of using it to where maybe he can have destruction and use it in some sort of like barrier or some shit, to where he can use it as like a shield, to where if somebody has some crazy ass attack, he can use destruction as like a shield to like block an attack. Or maybe he can do some crazy ass shit like this. He can have destruction as like an armor, so he can like combine the destruction with his armor that he had got from the relic tombs, and have like this destruction armor that can literally stop and block like almost any attack, right? So we can have some shit like that. So I can see some clever ways of being able to use it without actually just shooting out destruction and having it burn everything. Because even him using it, like it's like the more times Arthur uses it, the more devastating it is. Like the more consequence. Because the last time he used it with the Wraith, he literally burned all his arms away. Like he had no arms. Like that shit is crazy. So if he were to use it again, I can see it fucking him like potentially killing himself. And just like, cause he said that destruction wants to like destroy the entire world. Like just never ending, and we haven't seen anybody be able to stop destruction in any form or facet anyway. Because even when he was fighting the race, he had used it against the one race like mana shield. She had some crazy powerful mana shield, and it was eating away at the mana. Like, and so the shield wasn't working anymore. It is fucking destruction is crazy. So I can see it having like different type of forms like that. But yeah, I think destruction is going to stay that way. I'm just really curious what this next what is it, the different cuboids, the stone or whatever the fuck he got, the last insight he had got. I'm really curious what that is going to be, because I don't even think he's fully mastered Realmheart, which he needs to get more training with Realmheart, being able to use ether to influence other people's mana and their spells and shit like that. He needs to get better at that. But anyway, I'm kind of saying some of the same stuff I had said last time. But yeah, so I've got just a lot of thoughts when it comes to that, as far as like how destruction can be used. But anyway, this chapter was dope. The chapter was dope. We got a lot of information. Sylvie's got a new fucking weapon. Or not Sylvie, Ellie. Ellie's got a new weapon. That shit's gonna be crazy. She's gonna be able to compete with a scythe. I'm telling you, she's gonna be like neck and neck with a scythe. What else? So he talked about how he doesn't want to be the ruler or whatever, but in this situation, it looked like he's kind of more, open to taking on that role as being like the leader. So that had happened. We got Lyra. I'm guessing either Lyra's going to go with him, or he might keep Lyra there because she has to keep an eye and keep control over the Alacrian. So I'm guessing Lyra won't go with him, but she went with him the first time with Ellie. So I guess it's not that pertinent that she stays there to keep everything in order there. So maybe it'd be fine if she does go with him. So I can see her potentially going with him too. I'm surprised that Ellie's going, but I'm not really that surprised that Ellie's going. Yeah, it's gonna be dope. This is gonna be dope. So I'm really curious to see what happens going forward, because I don't know, man. I don't know. But Sylvie's gonna be more powerful. Yeah, we gotta see more about Sylvie. We really do. We gotta find out more about Sylvie, see how powerful she is. She has to get more accustomed to her body and everything like that since she's come back. What's the last thing I'm gonna say? He needs to control mana as well. Yeah, I think he's gonna control mana using the Realmheart. That's how he's gonna control mana. Unless you mean control mana to like use it himself, like offensively, like being able to like use spells. Maybe that's what you mean by that. Which I think that can still be a possibility with Realmheart. I still think that he hasn't fully unlocked Realmheart yet, to where I think that he could potentially use ether to influence the mana to make spells. Like, why wouldn't he be able to do that? Because they use their mana core to manipulate mana. So why can't he just use ether to manipulate mana and form the ether in the way that he wants the mana to be formed, and boom, have a spell. So I can see that still being possible with Realmheart. I really, really can. So he still needs more development on that. He needs development with destruction. Like I said, if he can get some type of shield or some shit with destruction, some long range destruction spell, like that would be crazy with Regis. So yeah, I can see a lot happening. But yeah, man. I mean, I'm looking forward to the upcoming chapters, man. This was dope. But I'm gonna get up out of here. But I appreciate y'all stopping through. Appreciate the likes. Make sure to like the video and shit. Got to try to blow up the channel. I'm really trying to get to 1,000 views. Like, fuck 300, 500. Really just trying to shoot up to 1,000. But I don't know. It's been slow and steady progress, but we're making progress for sure. And I definitely got to talk about some more stuff. I got the recommendations for different stories and stuff to check out. So it's definitely be cool to just be able to like read the shit like live and just like, get the reaction to just reading it live, because there's a lot of stuff I've already read. And so I don't want to go over shit that I've already read, because it's just like I already read it, But yeah. But yeah, but I appreciate y'all stopping through. Man, Vasquez, you're the only person that been in chat, been chatting it up. So I appreciate that. Maybe next time somebody else can share their thoughts and everything. And I'll check you guys out in the next video. So peace out. All right, see you.